All right. So then, hello, everybody. I'm going to take care of this wonderful session with the title HCL Notes and Domino V12, the way forward for Notes Designer and the Domino platform. And I think we just are going to shorten the title a bit to say this is what's the future of Domino going to be, and giving you a little bit of a preview on what Domino 12 is going to provide you with. My name is Thomas Hampel. I'm the director at HCL Product Management. I'm responsible for the Domino server and for the Nomad product portfolio. With me today on stage is my colleague Agnes, also from Product Management. Agnes, can you just say hi so that we all know that you're here?
Yes, hello everyone. This is Agnes, and I'm the product manager for the mail products in the portfolio, including Notes and also Verse. And I'm based in Hong Kong. So, nice to meet you all.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Certainly, it's a pity that we cannot meet face to face this year, but I'm sure that Hogner will organize another face-to-face event once the situation allows. For the time being, we're going to spend the next 55 minutes or so in wrapping up some of the nice and interesting features of Domino V12. First and foremost, the usual legal disclaimer that I have to add. You all know that from previous slide decks. So a quick recap, the Domino roadmap, where we started, where it all came from. You know that back in the days of when IBM was responsible for the product, it took quite a while to get some innovation into the product. Like there was a big time span between version 9 and version 10. Version 10 was the one where HCL and IBM were in a cooperation and decided to improve the product and invest in it. So from that point on, HCL committed to innovation, a long-term commitment to openness, product quality, and of course, transparency in terms of what we are going to do, because we want to do a product, not only that the product that works great, but a product that our customers will love. So for Domino V12, we have been talking about what the themes are going to be. And you heard about this in previous presentations, previous events, like, for instance, the HCL Digital Week, which was running last year. So some of the themes you are going to see again today, for instance, with one theme being the business workflow for everyone, meaning that Domino is going to be your first and foremost app dev platform, especially for solving your workflow needs and connecting enterprise data in your environment with your existing solutions. Of course, Domino also is taking another step at bringing it to the cloud. So you will hear later on how Domino will play a role in a cloud-native environment, how that can be done. There is more to come, so stay tuned for that. But the focus for today's session is going to be the better app and mail experiences everywhere. So a little recap on where we started, because Domino V12 is going to be released, and you probably heard that before in the news. It's going to be released in June this year. So we have spent the last 18 months or so in planning and developing the product forward. There have been a number of elements that we have released to our user base already, and one of the interesting starting points actually was that we allowed our customers, our community, to contribute in the product development by starting the Domino Early Access program last year. This allowed our customers to get first-hand access to features that are in development, and it allowed our customers to provide feedback in a very early stage so that we can fine-tune this feature and improve it according to the needs of our customer base. Certainly, the early access program is something we started last year in September, and it was succeeded in December, January timeframe with the official Domino V12 beta program. What I'd like to say here about this is that once we are going to release Domino V12, we plan to continue the early access program because it was so very successful, because our developers enjoyed working with you, our dear customers, to provide the best best functionality, the best features for you. So Domino V12 is not going to be the end of the early access program. It's actually going to restart the early access program shortly after it is released. I already said that we've started an official beta program for Domino V12. That is something we announced at on January the 19th in 2021. And unlike previous betas, this beta was open to all existing customers. So there was no sign-up required. Any customer who is currently, a customer of consumer of the Notes Domino product portfolio was able to just go to our FlexNet download portal and download the beta program, then download the beta software from FlexNet. So January 19th was the first beta we delivered, following a second beta in February. And directly after that, in March, we've shipped beta 3. So you see the pace in which we are shipping products has certainly increased. And we have been taking your feedback incorporated into the product in order to make sure the quality is really state of the art. So you are not here to hear about the beta program. We had a webinar about that. What you're here for is to get to know about what's coming in Domino V12 and beyond. So let's take a small sneak peek into the features and functions of what our product portfolio is going to provide you with. And I think we're going to do this together with Agnes. So I hope, Agnes, you are still on and you can hopefully join me in answering a few of the requests that our customers have been raising in our Domino ideas blog, so to say, a website where customers can submit ideas to improve the product and vote for existing ideas.
Yeah,
One of the highest ranked ideas on our ideas portal is this one here. It was actually submitted by Cormac, and he wants to drastically improve the look and feel of the Notes client, make it modern, make it 64-bit. So, Agnes, is there anything we can do about it?
Yes, sure. We hear the feedback from you, and therefore in V12, we improved the workspace UI, which looks more modern and intuitive right now. And you can see that we moved the workspace tape from the top to the navigator at the left. We also improved the spacing between the icons, and we placed the rectangular icon with the circular ones. So like the UI, the overview of the UI looks cleaner and also more user-friendly right now. And the workspace redesign will be a continuous improvement. We have plans for further improvement beyond V12. So share your feedback with us and stay tuned. More details will be shared at our launch event.
Thanks for that, Agnes. Actually, a second part of this question was, make it 64-bit. What about that?
Yes. So for 64-bit client, so we do have the 64-bit client for Notes Basic in V12. So it will be in a beta mode right now, and we would like to receive your feedback and see if we need to make more enhancement to that. So when we have received enough feedback, then we will also provide support for 64-bit standard client beyond V12. So that is our current plan.
So that's interesting. So that means the 64-bit client is already available for download on FlexNet as a beta?
Yes, right.
Oh, that's good news for our customers out there. All right, let's look into the next request here. Another highly ranked request is to update the look and feel of the rooms and resource reservation database with a better design. What can we do about that?
Yes, we also see this feedback, and that's why we make changes in V12 as well. Not only the workspace, we also modernize the room and resources UI, and you can see this is the new UI. So let's take a look of it. What you can do right now is that so basically all the functionality stay the same, but it is easier to navigate and use right now. You can just create a new reservation request using the UI, which looks cleaner and it's just more easy to use. So that is the update that we made in this release.
Oh, okay, that's nice. I'm sure customers will love that. Oh yes, coming to the next one. Copy formatting. This request here, I remember I've been hearing this a lot at various conferences, that when composing an email or when composing a document, people would like the ability to manage the formatting of a text by being able to copy and paste the format of a text block to another text block, simply because this is what you can do in other text editors of your choice, but the Notes client didn't include a functionality like that. So what can you tell Henning, who submitted this idea?
Yeah, and yes, I personally, I also use this feature in other products as well, and that's why I really want to have this as a Notes client. So we do add this feature in V12, so let's take a look how to use it. The icon are the copy format icon is at the toolbar at the top, and normally it is graded out. So when you want to use it, first what you need to do is to highlight the text that you want to copy its format. Then you click on the button and highlight the target text. Now it is done. So you have your format on your targeted text. So that's how it works.
So now our customers can go crazy and really apply styling wherever they want and make it their own. So it's easier than ever to make sure the email looks as you want it to look like. That's good news. All right, then let's look into the next one, which is the next slide, this one. Yeah, people were asking for a feature that will allow them to choose the name of the person sending the email. So when you send an outbound email, you often do not want the recipient to see who created this email or where it came from. So Vlad and Francesco were submitting the idea originally, but 60 customers voted for it. So what can we do about this?
Yeah, so regarding this request, so we understand that a lot of customers, they may have email coming from help desk and also maybe their services, HR or marketing department. So what we do is to provide a feature which allow user to select the email address that they want to use. So now I want to send an email to the admin and composing the email. So let's see how to use this feature. So in this, when compose the email, I need to click the display button and choose the sender information. Now you can see there's a new wall coming up and you can click on it and select the email address that you want to use. So I want to send it out using the help desk email. Okay, so click on OK. And now we just send it out. And you can see that the email address comes from the help desk email. So that is how it works. So as long as you have the access to the email address, then you can use it and then put and then select it when you try to send out an email. And the email that you send out will come from that email address. So that will be very useful for the various users. And so besides the features that we just mentioned, we also did some other like improvement in this release, including the new search interface. So let's take a look of it. What the changes that we make is that when you click on the search bar, you will see your recent search history. So you can see at the top is your recent search, and you can also see the recent apps that you opened. Then when you start typing, there will be type ahead for both mail and contacts. So in the below screenshot, you can see like when I type like B, it will just pop up. Like out, it will just pop up with like a brochure, anything that will contain this character. So that is, and with this improvement, we believe it can help you better locate the information that you need.
I'm sure about that. Let's look into another request that was raised on AHA, on our ideation platform. When you receive an email that contains a link, a URL link, and you want to copy that link, it seems like it was not possible to easily copy that link from the email. You always had to take the email into edit mode, or you had to forward it. So that was inconvenient. And certainly customers would like to do this in an easier way. And I see a familiar name down there. So Hogne, could it be that you have submitted this idea? Well, you're probably on mute, but anyway, Agnes, so what can we do about it?
Yeah, so what we do is, of course, to provide like a simpler way to help you copy the link as a URL. So now what you need to do is just to right-click the link and select copy link as URL. And it's done. It's now in your clipboard, and you can just copy the URL and paste it anywhere you want.
Cool. Not sure if the Hogne who submitted the idea is the one that's organizing the NCUG conference, but I'm sure whoever that is will be happy with what we are providing in Notes version 12.
I admit it, it was me.
Ah, there you go. So connecting the dots.
Great. All right. So besides the features that mentioned earlier, we actually do a lot more than that. And we also have some other improvement over the calendar. For example, now we have the invite other support for external invitees, and we provide a cascaded language installer, which help you to which is a combined MOI pack to download the languages, and we reduced the footprint for the install kit as well. So there's a lot more coming like for Notes V12, and we really hope that you can try all this feature out and just share your like feedback with us. So yeah, I think that's like our like that's for as a V12 a Notes 12 like overview.
Thanks for that. Thanks, Agnes. Now, we are talking to the Nordic user group here, and I think we are missing a very, very important point for the Nordic countries here in Europe. It is this feature request here. And Hogne, I'm sure you're smiling right now. Certainly, customers are requesting to translate the Notes client again into the Nordic languages, meaning Danish, Finnish, Norwegian, and so on. What's the news here, Agnes?
Yeah, so this is the right time to have this announcement, maybe. So this is the Nordic language is something we're looking at right now, and it is coming very soon after 12. So it is not in 12 right now, but we are planning to release the like language pack so very soon after 12. So just stay tuned with us, and we will be able to give more updates in the coming few weeks. So that's the update.
So can we narrow down this? Will it be this year?
Yes, it will be this year.
So, Hogne, and I hope everybody out there, what do you think of that?
I'm dancing a little bit in my office right now.
Yay!
It's great news, guys.
All right, good. Thanks for that, Agnes. I'd like to shift the topic a little bit because we've been talking about what's in the Notes client and what end users are going to see here, but I'm sure administrators out there are waiting to hear what's coming with the Domino server. So let me quickly switch subject at the back end and maybe talk about a very common problem that administrators out there have, especially nowadays, when they are managing a Domino server environment. One of the common problems that customers have out there is end users have to remember too many passwords. Even in the Notes Domino environment, we have the Notes ID password, we have the HTTP password. Sometimes you have configured your environment to use an LDAP for external authentication. Sometimes you have a SAML IDP for single sign-on, but not all customers have a SAML IDP infrastructure available. So what are they going to do? And the answer to that is going to be provided with Domino version 12. It's called the Active Directory Password Sync. And I do have a small video that I would like to share showing what you can do here. So the starting point is a Domino directory, which is configured to use password sync. So as you probably remember, in Domino version 11, we have introduced a directory sync, which is the ability to synchronize user objects from, for instance, an Active Directory into the Domino directory. But this dsync capability was not synchronizing passwords. And there is a situation when you want to synchronize passwords from AD to Domino so that your end users no longer have to remember a different password for your Notes ID file. So just as a starting point, you see person document hasn't changed. This date has also not changed. So Eddie Fletcher here in this case. So switching over to the domain controller. This is now the Active Directory domain controller, and we are going to use our permissions to overwrite the user's password. And this is to simulate, for instance, the end user changing his or her password. It doesn't matter if the administrator will set the password or whether the end user doing a password change on his own. The result is that the Active Directory user object will get updated and Domino will get that piece of information intercepted, and we're going to take that information and, so to say, forward this in a very secure way into the Notes ID vault. So the password that we have just set in the AD domain controller is going to end up in your ID vault by updating the person document in the vault. And you can also see person document will also get a slight update here so that you can see there was a change happening. With that, there's one password less to remember. And certainly that's going to be good news for some of the customers out there. Small recap, Active Directory password change events typically take less than 5 seconds, sometimes even less than 3 seconds between your domain controller and Domino. So you could say it's almost instantly. Password changes can be initiated by the admin or by the end user, so that's kind of seamless. And if you would like to know more, there is documentation out there. What you can do is to take your smartphone and scan the QR code, or wait for Hogne to distribute the slide deck as a follow-up to this webcast. Now, talking about passwords, a lot of companies are trying to introduce stronger password policy in their environment by introducing two-factor authentication. And two-factor authentication in Domino V12 is going to be an integrated feature. So you just enable it in your configuration, and that means you can take any two-factor authentication app on your smartphone as a second factor to authenticate with your environment. I also have created a small video showing how this is going to look like. What this video shows is on the left side, it's my browser window. And on the right-hand side, it's the screen share of my smartphone. So you can see when I'm logging in on my browser window, I will have to do that with my login credentials. But in this case, the two-factor authentication app on my phone was not configured to be paired with my login credentials. So the first thing, as a first-time user, I first have to make that initial connection by setting up the multi-factor authentication by clicking this little link down there. Domino is going to ask me for the name of my device. So that's a name that I can type in myself to remember which smartphone or which device this is. Using smartphone just for the demo, I can now either copy this URL over to my smartphone, or a much easier way, of course, is to take the camera of my smartphone and scan the QR code that the two-factor authentication setup is providing me with. So I'm clicking this little plus sign at the top right-hand corner of the 2FA app, and that will ask me if I want to type the code manually or if I want to scan the QR code, which of course is what we are going to do here. So let's do that. Let's say scan QR code, and it's showing my setup here, my computer. And as soon as the QR code comes inside of the rectangles, it's going to scan it and pair it up. And as a first validation, I'll have to enter the first the first two-factor authentication code that's displayed. These are emergency scratch tokens that are going to be provided to you just in case you are losing your smartphone, so that you have an emergency way of getting into the account. And from that time onwards, you have to use your second factor, your 2FA token, by typing in the 6-digit number that is displayed in the app. Yeah, and once done, of course, you can log in. So that will certainly make your environment more secure, especially nowadays when a machine on the internet is getting attacked just after a few seconds of being online. It's highly recommended to introduce two-factor authentication in your environment. Of course, when you have a machine on the internet, but also when you have a Domino web server deployed in your company, it's highly, highly recommended to have a properly secured HTTP task, meaning protecting your server with an SSL certificate is the default nowadays. If you are not using an SSL certificate on your Domino server, then it is about time. You should definitely do that. And SSL certificates were usually not for free. They usually were quite a, how to say, they were not for free, so to say. They did cost some money. And a couple of years ago, the entity Let's Encrypt, this free of charge Let's Encrypt certificate authority, started their environment. So that's a certificate authority which allows you to obtain free of charge certificates in an automated way. And what we have done in Domino V12 is to integrate the communication and an API to talk to the Let's Encrypt certificate authority, which means a request, actually 2 requests that our community have been asking for, is what we can get done in version 12. As an administrator, you no longer have to deploy your certificates on your Domino server by creating KYR files. You no longer need to copy the files from your desktop to the server. You no longer have to copy them from server to server. So all that is provided in one thing, in one environment, where basically the administrator just has to click one button. And let me just quickly show what it looks like. The entire configuration is done in a new database called the Certificate Manager. It's a system database in Domino. And what you have to do there as an administrator is you have to specify what host name you would like to have a certificate for. Then there are additional settings like, do you want to have a production certificate or a staging certificate, and what encryption level you would like to have for your keys. And when you submit the request, Domino will be taking care of it. Domino runs a server-side task to get your request, take your request, and make an outbound request to Let's Encrypt to obtain that certificate. Of course, Let's Encrypt has to validate your certificate, so they will try to ping your server. They will try to make a handshake. So that's why the initial setup takes a few seconds, typically around about 30 seconds. Yeah, here you go. So you see now a new certificate, a new SSL certificate was deployed to your environment, and it's valid. So we can certainly check details. It's from the Let's Encrypt certificate authority. The respective intermediate certificates are there, and so on. So there is no excuse any longer for not having a certificate, an SSL certificate deployed in your environment. So please take a look at this. Make sure you get this deployed in your environment as soon as possible. I hope that the administrators here in this audience will like that new feature. I know I was talking about this a couple of times before, and we were demoing this a couple of times before, but the development team has done some significant changes in the Let's Encrypt integration in the last couple of months. They also integrated the ability to obtain SSL certificates by doing so-called DNS challenges, which means if you have a Domino server which is behind a firewall, you can still get an SSL certificate by confirming your identity through a DNS name. The details we're going to explain after the Domino V12 product launch, and there will be breakout sessions that we are going to explain this in more details. But in short, this is going to be a great feature. Stay tuned for that, and I hope you love it. All right, talking about the Domino server, another really great feature is something we've announced for more than a year now, and we have finally shipped it in the beta 3. It is a completely new approach to taking backups in Domino. So if you are running a Domino server and you would like to take a backup of your Domino server, you did require a backup solution which is compatible with Domino. And that was not, not easy to find, because in many environments, for instance, when you move your server from one data center to another, the new data center in some cases did not have a backup solution that was compatible with Domino. So what are you going to do? So the solution is going to be a new Domino backup tool integrated in Domino. It comes as part of Domino and is provided with the product with a completely new approach. So instead of requesting the backup software to pull data from your server, what we are doing is the reverse. We are using Domino to communicate with the various backup vendors out there and to push the data over to a backup environment. So that basically means Domino can be compatible with almost any backup solution out there. Let's do a little demo. So what we are going to do is, first of all, taking a backup of my small test environment, then restoring one or more documents, restoring a folder within a mail file, and another different request is to restore multiple databases. So at first, this is the Domino server, and all I have to do to set this up is to type the command load backup or start the backup task on the Domino server, which will create the Domino backup database in the root of the Domino server. It also took a first backup of the environment. So let's take a look at the configuration at first. I'm starting my Notes client here, and let's open up my Domino server. In the root of the server, you will find a new application called Domino Backup, and that is the master switchboard for all your configuration settings around Domino Backup. So it's providing you with a list of applications and templates in your environment, and you can see when they have been backed up the last time, what size they have, what path they are in, and so forth. Of course, there are also logs that are provided where you can see whether backup has been successful or not. All right, I promised that we wanted to do a restore of a database. So let's take a look into this. And in order to do a restore, of course, we need to create or cause some damage. So let's open up the mail file of John Wakefield. So what damage are we going to do? You can see there are a few mails in his inbox. There is a folder called sales with one unread email, but 3 emails in total. So let's delete an email maybe. Yeah, maybe this one. Let's click this and say delete. And yeah, maybe let's delete that one as well. And of course, you say this is just deleted to the trash. So let's empty the trash. And dear administrators out there, I guess you know what I'm talking about when I say this is a common scenario for a Monday morning when a user is calling you saying, "Oh, oops, I accidentally deleted emails. Can you please recover those emails?" So back to our Domino backup tool, what we need to do here is to see if we do have a backup of John Wakefield's mail file. And yes, there is one. You can see the name indicates the date and timestamp when the backup was taken. And I just click the restore button saying what date and time I want, what point in time restore I wanted to do. I select I want to restore documents and folders. And when I restore individual documents, I wanted to have those documents being restored to a special folder in his mail file. By clicking on OK, the request is being submitted, and I can execute the request by just hitting this run restore command. Of course, you can also wait until the server has picked up the request. It just took a couple of seconds for the Domino server to take that request and process it. So you see the restore was provided. It's in the subdirectory restore with the original file name. 3 documents were restored. And we have a document link from which we can access the database. So let's take a look at this. So not only did it restore the entire mail file, but it was also restoring the documents because I've decided in my configuration to restore the documents back to his original mail file. So you can see there is one folder which contains the documents that were restored, and it was also restoring the folders that were deleted. All right. Well, that was easy. That was just a few mails, but let's cause some more damage by deleting the entire mail file. And just for the sake of curiosity, let's also delete the mail file of Barry Rosen. So just as a proof here, these mail files no longer exist on the server. So what are we going to do? Now let's open up the backup Domino backup tool. We're going to select the 2 databases that we want to restore and select the multi-DB restore option. That will queue the request, and the settings for the request are in the main document. So there's one configuration document, and the files that you want to restore are like response documents. So I'm using a similar configuration, but in this case, I'm saying that I want to restore the files to the original location instead of restoring them to the restore path. Same thing, I click the submit button, and to execute the request, I also need to click the run restore command to tell the server to immediately process it. We have to wait a few seconds for the server to get the request, for the request to be picked up. And you see at the Domino server console, the restore was already processed. And there you go, files were restored. And in the mail file, you can see both mail files are back. To conclude this small demo, I can open up the mail file and everything is back as it was before. So all of this was done without installing another third-party backup solution. However, you don't have to change your backup solution to the Domino backup tool because, of course, your existing backup solutions will just work fine. So if you have one of the enterprise-grade backup solutions in your environment, please continue to use that. This Domino backup tool is going to make customers happy which are running in an environment where there is no Domino-aware backup solution. And for them, this is going to be an awesome enhancement to the product, and I'm sure you'll like it. So if you haven't seen this as part of the beta 3, please take a look at this and stay tuned for Domino version 12 to be released, where you can see this live in action. Yeah, Hogne, I hope you'll like this as well.
I do. It's great. It's something that people have been missing for a long time. So I think this is very good.
Yeah, we've seen some blog posts out there from the Domino community, and I think one of the blog posts was that HCL is implementing a feature that the community has been waiting for since, what was it, 21 years. So we're really making sure the product will fit your needs, and that's why we're even taking a step at the problems that we haven't been able to, that others haven't been able to solve for many years in the past. So good news for version 12. But there is one more topic that we wanted to cover in the remaining time, and I think I'll have to hurry up a bit for the sake of time, which is what are we going for the Domino Designer? And just a quick recap there. One of the highest standing requests in Domino Designer was to introduce Bootstrap 4 for X pages, which is what we're going to do in V12. And it's going to be as simple as another application theme. And oops, actually, I was supposed to show more in details what you can do with it, but for the sake of time, let's just skip that. So all those developers out there who have been waiting for Bootstrap 4, that's about to come. And that's an upgrade from, I think we were using Bootstrap 3.3.7 earlier on to version 4.4.1 now. We're also updating jQuery from, I think it was 2.2.1 in the past, and now it's 3.5.2. And also extending the designer capabilities with new fonts and images using the Font Awesome library so that you can build more great-looking apps out there. Another interesting enhancement is the ability to use a new Notes query result processor class that was introduced in Domino version 12. Ulrich Krause blogged about it, and he said, this is awesome. What you can do here is to take two different streams and merge them into each other, merge the results, sort the results, and return the JSON object as a Notes JSON navigator object. So that by itself will allow to build more collaborative applications out there. Take a look at this. If you're a developer, you will definitely like that. I think we have to quickly move on. Hogne, I'm sorry for rushing through my presentation here, but another small topic I wanted to cover is a very important one, which also is going to be a significant step forward in Domino version 12. You all heard about HCL Nomad, which is the ability to take your Notes applications mobile by installing a native mobile application on your smartphone or tablet, whether being iOS or Android. You can take your Notes applications onto the mobile devices simply by installing the app. And I have I'm providing you with these two QR codes. So depending on what platform you prefer, you just scan one or the other QR code and then install the mobile app, the HCL Nomad mobile application from the App Store. So if you don't run HCL Nomad on your smartphone today, this is about the right time to scan the QR code and install it while I'm speaking about what it can do for you. So briefly, you heard me speaking at other events and saying that HCL Nomad allows to take your applications onto your smartphone without modifying them. However, there may be still some enhancements, some optimizations that you want to do, because we're taking the HCL Nomad product forward in version 12 by introducing HCL Nomad Web, which is the capability to run Domino applications right from your browser without the need to install a Notes client. So without the need to change the source code of your Notes client apps, without web enabling them, you can just natively run the applications in a browser using Nomad Web. And this is, from a technology perspective, related to the work we have been doing in the last 2 years on the HCL Nomad product. So what you're seeing right now when you install HCL Nomad on your mobile phones is user interface like this. Actually, this screenshot was taken from an iPad device. So you see a new recent applications page where you can, like you're used to from the Notes client, you can just tap on the application you want to open and can work with it as you would normally use them on your Notes client. Now, taking this one step further into the web browser, this is quite a revolution, and we're really looking forward to the Domino V12 launch event, because we're going to announce the availability of HCL Nomad Web. And what you see here is the same capability just in a web browser. So you see the different experiences are getting together, meaning the Notes client that you had to install in the past is now no longer required. You can just take a web browser to open up your apps and just like navigate to your Domino server, and we will get access to those applications. Now, a message to our developers out there is that you certainly would like to take a look at your existing Domino applications. Even though they are working great without being modified, there are some small tweaks that you might want to apply in order to make them even look better on a smartphone or a tablet or in the web browser. And that's why we have been sharing a number of best practices in the last couple of months. Just to recap some of them as a highlight is, for instance, the ability to include an action item in the so-called mobile actions menu button. And what you see here in the screenshot in the middle is a HCL Nomad on an iOS device. So there is this small, what we call thumb button on the lower right-hand corner here, this one. And when you click on that button, it displays another action menu. What you can do in your existing Notes applications is to make it easier to work with those apps on a smartphone by defining which of your action buttons shall be available in this drop-down button or drop-up button, whatever it's called. So it's a small enhancement, but it will be of great benefit for your users. Also, when it comes to the smartphone screen size, you've realized that the smartphone is, of course, much smaller than your desktop. So if you are going to open a traditional Notes application that was developed a long time ago for the Notes client, the screen size that it was developed for doesn't really fit into a smartphone screen. So the solution to that is jumping between different frames. Typically, Notes applications are using frames. Here in this case, it's the navigation frame, the number 1 here in this picture, and the content frame on the right-hand side. And just by the sequence in the frame definition, we can allow a developer to specify what screen is going to be shown first and what will be shown when you click on an item. So in this case here, the screenshot on the right, you see first the navigator. When you click on the All Documents button, it will open up the detailed view number 2. And you can go back and forth using these 2 buttons to the top left. Also, the ability to hide content from a mobile device is an important element to make it easier to work with applications on mobile devices, simply because when you are going to display a view or a complex form, you might not want to show all the details to a smartphone user. Maybe you want to hide some columns, so that there are hide when formulas that you can write, or just use the hide from mobile tag or checkbox here to quickly update the facelift of your the look and feel of your app. A bit more specific is the so-called ad platform specific function, which is an ad formula that our developers were using to identify what platform you are running on. And we have made a change to that function. So it used to work slightly differently. So if you are using ad platform specific in this context here, please make sure that you're taking another look at this, because it's now going to display the screen size in pixels. So you are able to find out if the phone is in horizontal or vertical mode, because you can then read the screen size and rearrange your user interface based on the screen estate. There is a tech note that describes all the details, so please look at that if you want to get to know more about it. Yeah, also, in order to provide responsive applications, we definitely have to have a method to respond to certain screen resolution width and resolution height changes. So there are two new formulas that we're introducing, where you can say, I'm going to hide this part of my form or this part of my view if the size of the screen is too wide, too narrow, or whatever. And of course, that needs to go hand in hand with a new function in Domino V12 called add command relayout window, which is a function that you can call, for instance, after the user was changing his device orientation from horizontal to vertical. So these are just a few small tips on how you can quickly and easily update the look and feel of your application to be more mobile friendly. We have been doing a couple of webcasts to go into the technical bits and pieces. Theo Heselmans and Tom Van Haken were doing a webcast with Max Sutton and me earlier, a couple of weeks ago, where they were sharing their best practices on updating the wine tasting application to work on a mobile device. So please watch the replay if you would like to get to know more about it. One item we were showing there was in this webcast was a small hint or a small trick to provide your users with an icon, a desktop icon on iOS, which they can use to launch an individual Domino application. Because like, for instance, if you have an application like the business CRM in this case that you want to open, all you need to do is to create an icon on your desktop. And there is a smart and easy way to get this done. Just install the so-called Shortcuts app, which I think is an iOS or Apple provided application, and then create or get the URL of the Notes application into your clipboard. So this Notes : / server name / the entire Notes link, just get that into your clipboard and paste the application link into the app, define the icon that you want to use and say add to home screen. And that's quite a simple and easy and elegant way to have an icon directly on your home page to open up a Domino application, as it would be like it would be an iOS application. All right, I see I'm already short on time, so we just have 1 minute. So that, I think, leaves me with a reminder. So a reminder to not miss an important date. This is going to be the Domino V12 launch event. So if you haven't marked your calendar, then it's time to do that right now. June 7th, of course, this year, is going to be the launch event. We are going to run an online event, and you can still sign up for that. Scan the QR code. You'll find more information at hcltechsoftware.com/products/domino/launch. And stay tuned for some more exciting news, because of course I was only sharing a small teaser here in my presentation. There's more to come.